Most people trying to get rich are swimming as hard as they possibly can, in the wrong direction. My name is Sales Alan and I'm 20 years old, and I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years, and now I make $18,000 a month. And the thing that changed wasn't that I started swimming harder, it's that I stopped swimming and got in a boat. Let me explain. Picture someone in a river swimming against the water with everything they've got. Arms burning, going nowhere. That's most people with money, trading hours for a paycheck and working harder and harder. They're staying in the same exact spot. Now picture someone who stops, climbs into a boat and just lets it carry them downstream. They're barely moving a muscle and they're flying past the swimmer. The swimmer isn't lazy, he's working 10 times harder. He just never realized that the boat was an option. The boat is a system, something that makes money whether you're working that hour or not. And in 2026, building that boat is easier than it has ever been because AI does the hard part for you. A 20-year-old with a laptop and Claude.ai can build a system that used to take a whole company. Here's the part that should hit you. The difference between the swimmer and the person in the boat was never talent or how hard they work. It was just one choice. Stop swimming and build the boat instead. And almost nobody makes that choice, which is exactly why the few who do still win, even today. So if you're exhausted from swimming, this is your sign. Stop, just build the boat instead. You got more time than you think, and the tools have never been cheaper or easier. The way I built mine was selling websites with Claude.ai, and if you want the exact system, it's free in the description and also in the comments. And most importantly, remember to like, subscribe and comment because I'm trying to reach 200 subscribers. Have a nice day and see you in the next video. You have about 6 months left to change your entire life, and that is much more time than you think. I'm 20 years old and I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years, making minimum wage, and right now I make $18,000 a month, working a few hours a week. And I'm telling you with everything in me that 2026 is the easiest year in human history to get rich from absolutely nothing. Most people will spend this year scrolling past videos like this one. You're not going to be most people. Stay with me for the next 3 minutes and I'll show you why. Let me paint you a picture of 2 people, both starting today. The first one wakes up, drives to a job he hates, trades 12 hours of his life for a paycheck that barely covers rent, comes home exhausted and does it again tomorrow. He's working as hard as humanly possible and he's running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. Then we have the second one. She wakes up when she wants. She spends a few hours running a simple system that makes money while she sleeps. She's not working harder than the first guy. She's working a fraction as hard actually, but she picked the right vehicle and he picked the wrong one. Does that sound unfair? Well, here's the part that should make you angry and excited at the same time. The difference between those 2 people is almost never talent, it's almost never how hard they actually work. It's just that one of them is pushing a boulder up a hill and the other one found a system that rolls downhill on its own. 2 completely different ways of living. So why am I so sure that this is the year? Well, one word, AI. For all of history, the people who got rich had something that you didn't. They had money to start with, a skill that took 10 years, a team, connections. There was always a wall. That wall is gone now. It got deleted, basically overnight, and most people haven't woken up to it yet. Today, a 20-year-old with a laptop and Claude.ai can do what used to take a whole company, and the work that used to need a team of experts for can be done by AI for the price of a coffee. You can build, you can automate, and you can outsource the boring parts to people on the other side of the world for a few dollars an hour and run the whole thing from your phone. And this is the single greatest equalizer that has ever existed, because for the first time, the only thing standing between a broke, poor person and real money is not money, it's not skill or the connections, it's just knowing what to do and being willing to do it. That's it. That's the wall right now. And here's the part that removes all of the pressure. The part that I wish someone told me sooner. It is, you do not have to invent anything new. So every person you ever see get rich online, they didn't dream up something brand new. Instead, they found something that was already working and they just copied it. And the person they copied it from, they copied it from someone too. So it's just copies all the way down. So stop waiting for some genius original idea to fall out of the sky. It's not coming and you don't need it. The proven thing already exists. Your only job is to find something that works, then copy it, and then just do it more times than the people who quit. So that's the whole secret that nobody wants to hear, because it's too simple to feel impressive. You don't need to be the smartest. I'm definitely not. You just need to copy what works and be too stubborn to stop. Because if a kid who was flipping burgers and putting fries in the bag can do it, I promise you that the door is wide open for you too. So look, you got 6 more months left. That's not a little. That is enough time to completely change the trajectory of your life if you start now instead of someday. I know that you're going to make it. I actually believe that because the tools are sitting right there. It's free and it's the easiest that they have ever been. And the only people who lose are the one who keeps scrolling and never start, right? Now, the way that I actually did it was through websites, so selling websites, and I was using Claude.ai, I still do, and I sell to small businesses. It's very simple and it works, and it's how I got to 18,000 a month. And if you want me to show you my exact method, just go into the description and I have the free guide. So there's no catch. 6 months from now, you'll either become someone who watched or someone who moved. So what do you choose? And remember to like, subscribe and comment, because I'm trying to reach 200 subscribers. My name is Sales Alum and I'll see you in the next one. I make $18,000 a month selling websites with Claude, and I don't build a single one of them by hand. I'm 20 years old and I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this works, the real system and not theory. But stay with me, because the part that actually makes the money isn't building the website, it's one move at the very end that almost everyone gets wrong. And it's the difference between making a few $100 and making 18 grand a month. So let's get into it. So before any of the steps, you have to understand one idea, because everything else is built on top of it. You build one website, one template, and then you reuse it over and over. You're not making a brand new custom site for every client. That's a job and a job doesn't scale. You build one really good template for one type of business, and then every new client just gets the same template with their name and their colors dropped in. So your first one takes a while, but your 10th one takes you 30 minutes. And the price stays the same every time. That gap between the 30 minutes it takes you and what they pay you every month, that's the entire business right there. You're not selling your hours, you're selling a finished thing, and you're doing it very fast and scalable. Step 1 is you pick one type of business, just one. Not anyone who needs a website. That's the mistake that everybody makes. You pick plumbers or electrician or roofers or med spas, just one. And here's why that actually matters. When you only sell to one kind of business, you start to sound like you actually understand them. You know their world, you know what they care about, and honestly, a plumber is going to trust the guy who only builds plumber websites way more than some random designer who does a little bit of everything. I know niching down feels like you're shrinking your options. It's the opposite. It makes everything easier, your pitch, your template, all of it. So just pick one and start today. Step 2 is building the template, and this is the part that used to be impossible and is now genuinely easy. I don't write the websites myself. Claude does it. I just tell it what kind of business it's for and it writes the whole thing, the headline, the service, the about section, all of it. The kind of copy that used to cost hundreds of dollars from a writer is done in one prompt. Then I take that, drop it into my website builder, clean it up, swap in the colors and save it as my own master template. This used to take people 8 or 10 hours by hand. So if you've been telling yourself you can't do this because you can't code or you're not a designer, I need you to hear this. That excuse is gone now. The building was the wall that kept normal people out of this business for years, and AI just knocked it down. Step 3 is my favorite because this is the part that actually closes people. So before you reach out to anyone, you build one demo, just a fake business in your niche so you got something real to show. But here's the move that's almost unfair. When you find a business with an ugly, outdated website, you can rebuild their site using their own photos and their own info and then show them the new version sitting right next to your old one. Think about what that does to them. They're looking at their sad old website and then right next to it is their clean modern version of their own business. That hits them right in the gut. They're not looking at a sales pitch, they're looking at their own business but just better. Because people don't really buy with logic, they buy with emotion. And nothing creates that emotion like showing someone a better version of the thing they're already proud of. At that point, you're not describing a website to them anymore, you're just showing them their future. The demo does the selling for you, and all you have to do is just get them to look at it. Step 4, and this is the thing that I promised you at the start, the part that decides whether you actually make money. And it's not getting the clients, it's keeping them. Because remember, this is a monthly business. They pay you every single month, so the whole game is making sure that they stick around. And the number one reason that people lose clients is honestly kind of dumb. They promise the wrong thing. So if you tell a client this website is going to flood them with new customers and then it doesn't, then they leave, and that's on you because you set the wrong expectations from the start. But if you tell them the truth, that you build their site and you host it and you keep it updated and you handle all the tech so they never have to think about it, then you can actually deliver that every month. And those clients stay with you for years. What you really are selling to them is the peace of mind. A website that just works, that they never have to worry about, that is peace. So promise that, deliver that, and then you don't have a client problem. That's the part that nobody talks about, and it's the part that turns this into 18,000 a month recurring revenue business where people stick around. And once you build a few of those yourself, you hand all of it and give it to somebody else because you just focus on getting more clients, and that's how it stays recurring while you don't have to build everything from scratch again. So that's the whole thing. You pick one niche, you build one template with Claude, and you make one demo that sells by showing people their own business, but better. And then you keep on getting these clients by promising the right thing and slowly removing yourself from the process, so outsourcing yourself. And that's how a 20-year-old who was flipping burgers and putting fries in the bag is making $18,000 a month. And it's not magic, it's just 4 steps in the right order, done by someone who actually did it themselves. Now, I just gave you the what and the why, the exact step-by-step, and the real Claude prompts and the scripts for the calls. All of it is written out and it's in a free guide down in the description. And the video here was the map, but the guide, which is free, is every single turn on the road. So if you're serious, go grab it. And if you still think a business would never pay for this, tell me why down in the comments. I will look at the comments, of course. And remember to like, subscribe, and comment because I'm trying to reach 200 subscribers. See you in the next one. I'm Sales Alum, and I think that you're going to make it. I'm serious. I think that 2026 is the single easiest year in human history to make real money from nothing, and most people are too busy being cynical to notice. I'm 20 years old and I make 18,000 a month, and I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years. So I'm not special, and I mean that in the most freeing way possible. Because if I can do this, the math says that a lot of you watching can too. So let me show you why I actually believe that. Here's why I'm optimistic and it's not just hype. So 5 years ago, to start a business that I currently run today, you needed to code or pay someone who could do it for you. That wall kept normal people out, so somebody who was broke or didn't have experience could not enter. That meant that the wall was there, but now it's completely gone, it's removed. So personally, I use Claude to build an entire professional website in just minutes, and the thing that used to cost hundreds of dollars a day and skill and so on, I now do with a single prompt. The hard part is the part that stopped people for decades, and it's now just the easy part that everyone can do. You're alive, and the exact moment the gate came down, that most people will look back in 10 years and realize that how open the door actually is right now. Here's the second reason that I think you'll make it, and it takes all the pressure off of you. You do not have to invent anything. So people freeze because they think that they need a genius idea that nobody's done, and you don't. The business is already proven. I built one kind of website for one kind of business, and it sells for a monthly fee, and it works. Your job isn't to be original, your job is to copy something that already works and just do it. You're not an inventor, you're just a person picking a blueprint that's already drawn. And that's freeing. So you can stop watching or waiting for the perfect original idea. The idea already exists. The only question is whether that you'll run it or not. The third reason, and this is the one that makes it doable while you got a job or while you're in school, is you only need one thing that works, that's proven, that is repeated enough times. That means one type of website, one type of business to sell it to, and one way to reach them. So don't be the person trying to do 5 things at once, because they will never succeed because they're spreading all their attention at different things. When I found something that worked, I didn't get clever. Instead, I just did more of the same thing because it works. The same build, the same pitch, and the same kind of client over and over. And that can sound pretty boring, but that is the process, and it's the effort that it takes to make $18,000+ a month. So that's the secret that almost nobody believes, because it's too simple to feel like a secret. But you don't need 10 skills, and you need only one simple thing that you're willing to do 100 times. And Claude makes the hard part of that take minutes, so you just need the right system. So here's why I'll keep telling you that you can do this. The wall came down, you don't have to invent anything, and you only need one simple thing repeated. Those 3 things have never all been true at the same time before. They're true right now, this year in 2026, for you, and you're standing right in front of the open door, right? So while most people argue about whether the door is even real, I'm not here trying to tell you or say that it's effortless, that the process is the easiest. You still have to do the work, and some of it is uncomfortable or hard at the start, but the barrier is the lowest that it has ever been in history before. So I believe that you can do this. I really believe that, and it's coming from somebody who has helped other people before, and I actually put the exact system that I use, so how I build and sell those websites with Claude, in a free guide, and it's all in the description. It's free, and the only thing in return I would like if you could like, subscribe, and comment on this video, because that would mean a lot to me. So the door is open, just go walk through it, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Sales Alum, and I'm going to tell you something that nobody else in this space will. You're probably not going to make money with AI in 2026, not because that you can't, but because of what you're doing right now, watching this video. And what I mean is, I make $18,000 a month, and I'm 20 years old, and I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years. And the single biggest difference between me and the person who stays broke isn't talent, it isn't money, and it isn't a secret tool. It's that at some point I stopped watching and started doing. So most people never make that switch. Let me show you why. So here's the trap, and almost everyone is in it, and I was before. So AI made starting a business easier than it has ever been in history. That's true. So I use Claude to build entire websites in minutes. That's how I make money. And the thing that used to take a coder days, I now do before my coffee gets cold. So very quick. But here's what nobody tells you. Easier to start also made it easier to never finish, so never execute. And what I mean is, there's 100 videos telling you how, and 1,000 of different tools that you can use for research. So people just spend months watching and saving prompts and planning and feeling productive. But they're making $0. So no progress. And you don't have an information problem. You never had one actually. Instead, you have an action problem. And what I mean is that AI made it even worse because it gave you infinitely more stuff to hide behind before you do the scary thing, which is take action. So everything you need now is free right now, and it's currently available. Now you're probably asking, what's the scary thing? So the thing AI can't stop for you, what is that? Well, that is talking to a stranger and asking them for money. It's that simple but so difficult. And that's the whole game. I build websites for small businesses with Claude, and I sell them for a monthly fee. And the whole building process, it's so easy now. The part that pays me $18,000 a month is that I was willing to contact businesses after business and hearing rejections and no until somebody said yes. And that's the part that everyone avoids. They'll tweak a website for the 5th time, watch one more tutorial, or reorganize their Notion template and so on. Anything to avoid picking up the phone because the phone can reject you and a YouTube video can't. It does need to be picking up the phone, it can also be different methods of outreach. But let me just bluntly explain, because nobody else will. If you're not willing to do the uncomfortable part, so no tool on earth can save you. Not even Claude, not the next model, because AI removed the excuse that the work was too hard. The only thing left between you and money is whether you do the part that feels hard. So, who does make it? Who makes the money? After doing this myself and watching a lot of people try, it's not who you'd think. It's not the smartest people, because I watch genuinely brilliant people overthink themselves into never starting, analysis paralysis, and it's not the ones with money. I started with nothing but a laptop, and I also used to work at McDonald's, so I even had less time. Instead, I was the one willing to be the bad at something first. Who make the calls while they're still nervous and who gets told no and called the next one anyway is the person who succeeds. And that's not a talent, that's just a decision. You can make it today and just execute, even if you're afraid. Because most people won't, which is exactly why the ones who do still win. Even in 2026, when everyone has AI, everyone has the tool, almost nobody has the willingness. So here's my honest, pessimistic truth. If you watch this video and feel motivated and then watch 10 more like it, you'll make nothing, no progress. I promise you that. But if you close this app right now and pick one business and actually reach out today, maybe badly or nervously, you already done the thing that 95% of people never do. The tool is not the bottleneck anymore, you are, and that's not an insult, that's actually the best news that you'll hear. Because it means that the only thing that you have to fix is in your control. I put the actual system that I use, the exact way that I build and sell these websites with Claude, in a free guide, and it's in the description, but the guide doesn't matter if you won't do the part that I just described. So the last thing I just want to mention is remember to like, subscribe and comment, and stop watching and just take action. See you in the next one. I'm Sales Alum, and most people who try to make money online will never make a single dollar. And most who do make something quit before they hit 5 grand a month. So I almost was one of them. I know exactly why people they fail because I nearly failed the same way. And here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to say out loud. So stay until the end because the last part here is what matters the most. Before I started getting into online money, I thought that I was not made for this. I was working at McDonald's for over 2 years and I was watching these online business guys and girls thinking that they knew something that I didn't. But it turns out that the opposite was actually true because being a little less experienced is often an advantage. So some of the smartest people that I know in business are actually the worst in business, you could say, from a practical standpoint. And here's why. So if we take a scenario with two people who want to start a website business, then the smart perfectionist hears that you need to do cold calling. So their brain is thinking like, how do I cold call? What's the perfect script? Let me watch 100 videos and prepare. Let me build a system and so on. But then 6 months later, he has watched 100 videos and made $0 because the individual never actually picked up the phone or made any action. The other person on the opposite side hears that you need to do cold calling and they just start doing it. They don't start out being good, and they get hung up at multiple times. And after maybe calling 50, then they see a little bit of progress and then a little more and little more. And that's the advantage here. That's the whole game because it's not intelligence, it's action. You don't need the perfect script or you don't need to know how to actually build the site or how to pick up the phone the best way and do the script. You just need to say, I can build you a website or I could do marketing or I could do XYZ for companies like yours. Do you want me to show you how and how we could benefit your solution or problem? And it's not because that you need to start out doing everything in an excellent way. Actually, you just need to do the action and then improvise and eventually you'll get better. Here's what nobody tells you. So to build something real, you have to change. Not your strategy, not your tactic, but you as an individual. So I'm not the same person that I was at McDonald's, not even close. And that change was harder than anything that I have learned in the way. So when I started doing cold calling, I was very terrified, to be honest. My heart was racing before every call and I took everything personally. But years later, none of it affects me, or not as much. And it's not because the calls got easier, but because of the transformation. And that's the transformation because as a beginner, you can't see the whole mountain in front of you. So you just need to take the first step, and by the time that you realize how steep it gets, you'll already begin to climbing the momentum, and then you actually become the person who can finish. So most people, they want the money without the transformation, without doing the climbing, and that's the trap. You don't get the one without the other. The next part will sound a little strange, but it's one of the most important things in the long run. So don't actually tell anyone your goals. I made the mistake early when I told my friend that I was going to build a business and make it big. And of course, because he's a good friend, he was excited on behalf of my goals and said something like, I know that you will, you got this. So they supported me. But then 4 weeks later, I didn't even want to work on it because I already gotten the reward, the feeling of being someone who's going to do something big and the motivation just drained out. So when you announce a goal and get praised, your brain feels the same dopamine hit that it would from actually doing it. So if you announce, you feel great and you never actually start. Everyone that I know who made it, they went quiet. They logged in for 100 days minimum and they just did it. And one day people noticed that they have changed. So work in silence and let the results talk. And that's one of the most important tips. Now something useful. A way to know if you're on track without quitting too early or grinding for years on the wrong thing, on the wrong path, is the 100-day checkpoint. So when a president, they take office, everyone judges the first 100 days. And the reason is, 100 days approximately is long enough to see if the direction is right. So if the president has made any change. So do the same to yourself. Give your business 100 days of real effort. Not effort like when I feel like it. Instead, give your business 100 days and don't ask, am I rich at the end? That's the wrong question. Instead, ask these three things. The first is, did I actually do the work or did I just prepare and avoid? If you avoided, the business didn't fail. You haven't just started the clock yet. So you need to reset the 100 days. Second, is there any signal? So if you have one client or one yes or one real sign that it can work, then you just need to do what you're doing and continue. Third, if there's no signal after 100 days, is it the effort or the vehicle? Because sometimes you work hard on the wrong thing and that's not quitting, that's just you need to shift gears. So same energy of input but on a better vehicle. And lastly, it's not a quit deadline, the 100 days. It's just a steering tool. So most people, they quit at day 10 or they grind for years on something that never gave them a signal. And the checkpoint keeps you honest in both ways. So here's the truth. It's not about being smart. It's about acting before you feel ready. So jumping in the water even though it's cold. You have to become a different person, and that's the actual job. So work in silence and let the results talk, and give it approximately 100 real days before you judge the process. And that is the hardest thing that I've ever done, because imagine being able to do all the work and actually seeing results, because the only thing you need to do is to be willing to become the person who can do it. And it will be hard, but the exact system that I started with is free. I have a link in the description, and it's just 3 easy steps and it takes 5 minutes. And the last thing is that I'm asking you in return is just to like, subscribe and comment, because I'm trying to hit 200 subscribers. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one. I'm Sales Alan and I'm 20 years old, and let me ask you something. If hard work made you rich, then why are some of the hardest working people on earth still broke? Think about it. A truck driver works longer hours than I do, a nurse works harder, and a construction worker works harder. And they do their work a lot more intensely. But they make a fraction of what I make. So either they're doing something wrong, or everything that you've been told about hard work is a lie. So I can just tell you now, it's the second option, but let me explain how. You've been sold a story your whole life that working hard, keep your head down and put the hours in and one day you'll be rich. But it's simply not true. And deep down you already know it. It's not true, or you wouldn't have clicked on this video. So here's the truth. Hard work doesn't make money. Removing yourself from the work makes money. And there's this quote from Rockefeller, who's arguably the first billionaire in history. And he said that he who spends all his time working has no time to make money. And the first billionaire, he said that working all the time is what keeps you poor or keeps you broke. And what he meant is that if you're the one doing all the work, so if the business stops the moment you stop, then you don't own a business, you own a job. And a job, no matter how well it pays, will never make you wealthy, because you're not building anything, you're just renting out your hours. So for example, the truck driver, he rents his hours, the nurse rents her hours, and the freelancer charging by the project rents his hours. And so does the business owner, who can't step away for a week without everything falling apart. So wealth isn't built by working. It's built by owning the thing that does the work. Let me tell you how a factory operates. So you need to think about a factory like your life. So a factory makes money whether that the owner shows up or not. The machine runs and the product gets made. the money comes in, and then the owner can be on a beach or asleep or dead. But the whole point is the factory keeps producing. And most people never build a factory. They are the factory. They wake up, they produce, they get paid, they sleep, they wake up and do it again and again, and so on. So if you stop the body, then you stop the money. And the whole game is turning yourself from the factory into the owner of the factory. And here's the part that makes people very uncomfortable. To do that, you have to become almost useless to the day-to-day operation. You have to build something that runs without you. And your goal as the owner is to make yourself completely unnecessary. And here comes the part that where most people, they can't handle or don't want to accept the truth, which is their whole identity is wrapped up in being needed, being wanted. In being the hardest worker or in grinding, they wear the long hours like a badge. And the badge is exactly what keeps them poor. Now the big question, so how do you build the actual factory? You need to understand that you have to delegate and automate, but not randomly, in a very specific order. So first, you remove yourself from the delivery part, the actual work, aka the product. So the thing that the client pays for. If you sell a website, you stop building every website yourself. You make one template and use it every time. If you sell a service, you make a system, you automate it and you outsource it to virtual assistants. So anyone trained can do it and not just you. And this is the step that 90% of people never get past because they keep doing the work themselves because they think that nobody can do it as well as they can. They are the perfect fit for the job. And so they stay trapped forever and the work becomes the cage. Second, you remove yourself from marketing. You build a machine that brings in attention without you, not being dependent on you. Content, ads, a system that runs whether you're working on it or not. Third, you remove yourself from sales. You train someone else to have the conversation. You write down exactly what they need to say, aka the script, why it works, so the proposal, the value, and you hand it to someone who can say it too. Delivery, marketing, sales, in that order. And that's the entire path from being the factory to owning it. And here's the new part which nobody actually focuses on, because 10 years ago doing this needed a team of people and a pile of money, a budget. But today AI does most of it. I personally use Claude to build the systems, write the process, create the templates, document the workflow. So all the stuff that used to take so many people to do, it can be done with AI. And that's the new unlock, the new golden ticket. The factory used to cost millions to build if you want to scale it, but now a 20-year-old can build one from a laptop. And that's not hype, that's just what's true now. And it's not dependent on your age. You can also be 30, 40, 50, 60 and so on. It's all about doing the work without you doing it. Here's the part that's going to sting a little or hurt a little because it's very personal. You can probably relate to it. So if you're working 12 hours a day and you're not rich yet, working 14 hours won't fix it, right? So what I mean is you don't have a work ethic problem, you have a structure problem. And more hours into a job that depends on you just gets you a slightly better paid job. It never becomes wealth. You never generate wealth with it. You can't outgrind a bad structure, a bad system. The hardest working person at a company is almost never the richest, because the richest is the one who owns it, and they often work the least. And that's not a coincidence, that's the entire point. If you have corporate governance, you know that it's not the manager, it's the principal, the owner with equity. So stop asking how do I work harder, start asking how do I build something that works without me. Because that single question is the difference between being busy and being rich and owning something. So here's the truth, all in one place. Hard work doesn't make you rich. Owning a factory or owning the machine does. Your job isn't to be the hardest worker, it's to build the thing that works without you, and then get out of its way. It's that simple. So first delivery, then marketing, and then sales. Remove yourself from each in that order and use the tools that exist now to do it faster than anyone could before. If you want the exact system that I use to build mine, it's free and I have a link in the description. But most importantly, remember to like, subscribe, and comment your opinion on this topic or your experience. And lastly, to conclude, stop renting out your hours and start building the factory. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Sales Alum and I'm 20 years old, and there's a comment that I get on almost every video, some version of there's no way that small businesses pay you $300 a month for a website. That's a scam, or that's too good to be true. And I totally get it. I really do, because the first time that I heard this whole model, I thought the exact same thing. I was very skeptical. But today I'm going to explain why this works and why it's real and why almost nobody believes it until it's too late to be early. Let me start with the objection, because it's the same one every time. It's something like, why would a business pay you $300 a month for a website? I could get one for free. I could build one on Wix in the afternoon or something like that. $300 a month is insane. And here's why that objection is wrong. And it's wrong in a way that tells me everything about the person saying it, which is that the person who says that has never run a business before, because they're imagining themselves as the customer. They're thinking that I wouldn't pay that, and they're right, they wouldn't, but they're not the customer, right? And the customer, if we take a persona, he's like 48 years old, he owns an HVAC and a lot of other businesses like trucks. He does $80,000 a month in revenue, and his phone is his lifeline. Every missed call is a job, and that job went to a competitor if he didn't get it in time, right? So you think that that guy wants to spend his Saturday learning Wix, or you think he wants to figure out hosting and domains and why his contact form isn't working? No, he wants his phone to ring. That's the main goal. And that's the whole thing that he wants. That's what matters. So $300 a month to that guy is nothing. It's less than he spends on fuel in a day. And if a website brings him one extra job a month, it's paid for itself 10 times over. And yeah, you can see the return on investment through that principle. So the people who say that nobody would pay that are telling on themselves. They've never been the guy with the 6 trucks. And I'm not building websites for people who build their own. I'm building them for people who would never ever want to. So a totally different segment and market. Now let me do the math, because the math is the part that breaks people's brains. Because if we take 50 clients, $300 a month each, that's $15,000 a month. Every month, whether you wake up or not, it's MRR. 50 clients, that's not a lot. That's not 10,000 customers. That's not like a massive operation. 50 small businesses, you can also fit them all in one room. And here's the part that makes it a business instead of just a regular job. So the money comes in again next month. It's recurring. And the month after. You don't have to resell them. You don't have to start from zero every January. The 50 clients you have today are still paying you in a year if they don't churn, and in 2 years as long as their site keeps doing its job, if it works. And most people who try to make money online are on a treadmill. They wake up every month and they are at zero, and they need to sell, deliver, get paid, and they wake up at zero again, and that's just a loop. And this isn't that. This is the opposite of that, because each client you add stacks on top of the last one. Month 1, 5 clients, month 2, and you keep those 5 and add 5 more and so on. And now you have 10 and one free 15, and you're not running faster, you're just stacking more. And that's the difference between renting your time and building something that pays you while you sleep. And it's not complicated, it's just math, and it's just an effective system. And the most people never sit down and actually do it. Okay, this is very important. So here's the part that makes the whole thing click. It's the thing that once you see it, you can't unsee it. So imagine your lights go out, the whole house. You're panicking and you call an electrician. He shows up in 20 minutes and he walks down to your basement and he looks at the panel for about 10 seconds. He flips one wire and so on, and the lights come back on. And that's total of 90 seconds of work. And he hands you a bill for $300. And now, are you mad at that? You should be. But 90 seconds for $300, because technically that's a robbery. But you're not mad. You pay him very gladly and you thank him on the way out. And why do you do that? Well, because the electrician, he didn't sell you just 90 seconds of labor. He sold you the outcome. He fixed your problem. The lights came back on, the problem got solved, and the family got taken care of. So you go back to your life and you're not paying for his time. You're paying for the fact that he walked in and knew exactly what to do, how to solve the problem. Because he's done it 10,000 times before, and the speed isn't the thing that you're mad about. The speed is the thing that you're paying for, that he's so effective. And that's the entire website business. The contractor doesn't care regarding that your template took you 30 minutes or you have used it before. He doesn't care that you built it to many other people. He cares that his phone rings and you're the electrician here. You did the thing that he couldn't do and you did it very fast because you have done it before and you have a system that he hasn't. And charging for the outcome instead of the hours, that's not a scam. That's just every skilled trade on earth. And that also goes with the plumber, the electrician, the mechanic, the surgeon, and so on. Nobody pays them by the minute because everybody pays them for the outcome, fixing the problem. The only difference is here that I figured out why you can do it with websites and almost nobody's doing it yet. Or it wasn't me, I just copied a system that works, and that's literally the whole thing. I didn't develop or invent anything, I just took what works and optimized it a little. Now here's the part that makes right now the moment. So a few years ago, this business was very hard. To build a website fast, you needed to know how to code or you needed to hire someone who did, so outsource it. And the build part in 30 minutes wasn't possible for a normal person, but that has changed. And most people haven't caught up on how much it has changed. Today, AI does the part that used to be hard. I personally use Claude to write the entire websites because it's the best. That is the words, the structure, the headlines, all of it. And it's so simple and so easy. And the thing that used to take a copywriter 3 days and cost hundreds of dollars can now be done with just a simple prompt if you have the right one. So the barrier that used to keep normal people out of this business is totally gone, is vanished. And a 20-year-old or a 40-year-old and so on with a laptop can now do that used to take a small team an entire weekend to do. But here's the trap, and this is the important part. The contractor knows that AI exists too. Every business owner in the US has read 3 articles about ChatGPT, and they've heard that their nephew is talking about it and so on. They know that they should be using AI somehow, but they have no idea how to do it. They don't know which tool, and they don't know the prompts, and they don't know how to turn AI exists into my phone is ringing and giving me more clients. And they don't want to learn it. They want to run their business and earn money. They can't just spare time investing in learning. So you become the bridge. You're the person who took the time to figure out the AI so they don't have to, and that's the whole job. You're not smarter than the contractor, you're just the one thing that he should do, but he didn't have time to do, right? And the window where this is easy, where almost nobody's doing it and there's so much potential, that window is open right now. It will not be open forever. In 5 years, everybody's going to know this, it's going to be very popular, but right now almost nobody is doing it and there's so much on the market. So if it's this simple, why isn't everyone doing it? And that's a great question. And here's the honest answer, and it's probably not what you're thinking. So it's not because it's hard. You just watch me explain the entire thing in 8 minutes very simply. It's not complicated. It's just because of 3 things that almost everyone gets wrong. The first is they don't believe it. They hear that 300 a month for a website and their brain just rejects it. The same way that the comment section just rejects it. They talk themselves out of it before they even start giving it a chance or trying it. The belief is the first barrier and most people never get past it. Second, they overcomplicate it. They think they need to learn how to code. They think they need a perfect website, or they think they need to be a designer and customize every little detail. They spend 6 months getting ready and never making a single call, never taking action, and they prepare themselves right out of the business, you could say. The last thing is they're scared of the part that actually matters, the action, which is picking up the phone and talking to a business. That's one way. You could also send messages or do email. And that's the whole game, not the website. The website is easy now. The hard part is being willing to call 50 business and hear no 49 times to get the one yes, or do email marketing or something like that. And most people would rather make a website for the 100th time than make one uncomfortable phone call. And that's it. Those are the only 3 things standing between someone and this business. Not the skill, not the money, not the connections, just the belief and simplicity. Because the willingness to do the uncomfortable part is the only thing needed in this business. And I'm not special. I used to work at McDonald's for 2 years, so I believe that you also can do it. Let me tell you what's on the other side of this whole journey, because it's not just money. When I hit the point where 50 businesses were paying me every month, so MRR, then something changed in my mind. For the first time, I wasn't waking up at 0. I knew that money was coming in whether I had a good week or a bad week, and whether I was sick or took a day off. So that feeling, knowing that money shows up without you grinding for it that exact day, relieves you and takes off some burden and pressure. And there's nothing like it, I would say. And it's not all about being rich. Of course, it's very nice being wealthy and so on. But at this stage, freedom is much more important, that you can travel and do the things that you love and not working all the time, because we want to minimize the hours that we work and increase the return on investment. So because of the foundation, everything else just gets built on it, the stack method, and you can just, do something else with your time. And this business, you could argue it's boring, but it's also simple, because the $300 a month business is the thing that buys you the stability to go do something else that you want with your time. And that's why it's very important to just execute and not do it because it's exciting, but because of what the things you can do out of it. So let me bring this all the way back to that comment saying that it's too good to be true. And here's my honest answer to that. And it's a line that I'll leave you with, and you can just reflect on it and comment your opinion regarding it. So I would say it's not too good to be true. It's just very early. And it, of course, feels too good to be true because you've never seen something like this before. And it's very simple, but it actually works. And just because it's very simple and real, it doesn't mean that it's fake, because if we take the electrician example, then the 90 seconds to fix it feels too good to be true if you've never seen a panel before, right? And it's not magic. He's just early to a skill that you don't have yet, right? If you studied the same thing, you will also learn how to do it and you will save yourself $300, but you haven't. So, and that's all that is. You're just early and the window is open right now. The tool that makes it easy exists right now. It's of course all free. And today, most people haven't figured out what to do with it. They see so many options and possibilities, but this right here is the one that is the most effective if you want to make the most money. This is why why you should do it, but it's not the how video. I know some of you want the actual step-by-step guide, the exact template, and the exact prompts that I use with Claude, the scripts for the calls and all of it laid out. And because I cannot make this video 1 hour long, I will make a tutorial next time. I will put it all in a document and all the material, and I've put it in a free guide and it's in the description. In return, just remember to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.